coach and an author. Welcome. And on the other hand, we have Meeta Gutgutia. She's a founder of Women Listed and co-founder of Ferns and Petal and Sipping Thought. So I'll be handing over the session to her now.
Thank you, Priyanka. Thank you so much. Welcome, Lahar. Welcome, Anushree.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
So as I was saying before the session, that Lahar has been associated with us almost from the very beginning when we started our discussion in a small office.
Yes.
Here we are. Anushree, when I for recommendation, I got your recommendation from my friends.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's such a pleasure being here.
So that is the what do you call it? That's the strength of associations, groups, and recommendation. That is what we kind of. Anyways, let's come to the topic. When I was deciding the title of this topic, it was very tough for me because I'm saying that the kids are not wanting to grow. B, I'm saying kids are adult, but they are still not taking responsibility. So this topic in itself was kind of asking for too many questions. And this, because of my, when I talk with people, I realize that we moms are worried that now what kids were doing earlier, they were maturing at the age of 18 to 21. Now they're maturing at the age of 15, especially during COVID and post-COVID.
Yeah.
And moms are never told to be handling over, kind of doing a different parenting. So this conversation in every get together, every time you talk to somebody, there's a pain point. So I thought, let me bring it here as we talk about different aspects of life here. So Lahar and Anushree, you can start, Lahar. That what do you feel when I told you about the topic?
It's a very relevant topic. It is sensitive. It is urgent, and it might. The only way, as we have seen through Sipping Thoughts, other topics, the best way sometimes is to discuss it and bring it out in the open rather than putting yourself in a bubble and being a holy mark, my kids, will not do this. It's rather that that even if your kids are not doing it, it is happening out there. So it's always, I think discussion is the first step to rectifying or trying to make anything better. So I think with this, step today that you've taken, it's like you said, even defining the title of such a topic was difficult. So of course, it's something where the content will also talking about it might be uncomfortable, difficult. But I would urge all the parents, especially in the audience today, to have an open mind to hear out, and of course, as always, keep your feedback and questions coming. But yes, this is one topic which I feel that I have some very solid points to add to and some very solid discussions to do during the session. So I'm looking forward to this.
Very rightly said, Lahar, that it is like you take it what you want to take it. You don't take it what you don't want to take it. Not one. So yeah. But yeah, I'll take your bit on it.
So actually, I wanted to participate in this discussion because I love your topic so much. It is extremely relevant, not just in India, but cross borders. So you see, these questions are becoming a very important part of our communities and, how we want to kind of further it. What we're seeing is, and what I really liked about your topic was the word playful. The minute you hear playful, as we as parents resonate to innocence, our innocence when we were growing up, and suddenly childhood comes right in front of us. In fact, these days, there's nostalgic moments seeing the movie Barbie. I remember growing up with Barbies and playing with dolls. So that sort of nostalgia, that sort of innocence was very deeply embedded with us growing up. But today, when you meet the children, it's a whole different ball game. Today, what we are entering right now is an information age. And with information age, there are a lot of pros and a lot of cons. So today, when you see a child playing, with a Barbie doll and then saying, Mama, there's a monster under the table, you feel good that the innocence is there. And then the next minute, they come with explicit information and ask us questions. What does this mean? It kind of jilts and jolts a parent like, hang on. Like, where are we heading with this? There have been a lot of surveys, and I wanted to bring this up. There have been a lot of surveys amongst parents where parents have discussed that at least 16 to 20% of parents feel that children are growing up at the tender age of 10 to 12. So this is what we're heading as a community. So a very relevant question, that how should we deal with it? Should we be open-minded towards children asking us questions, or should we hold back and scale back and compare our childhood to theirs? So very important question. And Meeta ma'am, thank you so much for having us here. Very relevant. And I'm really looking forward to interacting with parents.
Thank you so much, Anushree. So basically, when we say to children, like I tell my daughter or I tell my son that, "Acha hai, jab tak you are in the college, tab tak have a free life. The moment you are out of the college, you will have a life where will be loaded with responsibility." So somehow I also feel that I have clearly put a demarcation in the child's mind. Jitni masti karni hai college tak kar lo, have a free life. The moment you are out of college, the first thing you think and you imagine yourself being in is responsibilities, responsibilities, and responsibilities. I don't know whether I'm doing it right or wrong, but this is like we were taught, or maybe I have seen in my life, that when you were till the time you were in college, you were a free child. But the moment you are out of college, you start thinking about earning money, you start thinking about settling down. Everybody expects differently from you. So I don't know where is that. Is there any problem in our communication and expectation? Again, I take it to Lahar.
Yeah, so that's a valid question. So I think there are, I would approach it as two factors. One is circumstantial and one is universal. So, for example, apart from what we're going to talk, I would like just to put in a little one-liner on, there is data that not only on what kind of inputs you're getting, information and all that, kids are maturing early, but even physically, the hormones are getting activated earlier. Girls are menstruating at 8, 9, 10. So that has nothing to do with YouTube or nothing to do with parenting or any such thing. It's not mental maturity. But yeah, so physically also hormones are getting triggered earlier. That is a universal thing. That is not circumstantial. And that, I would say, one little line which I tell all my parents is, please take care of the food habits of the child, because if the अगर बॉडी में हार्मोन पहले बन रहे हैं तो मेंटल मैच्योरिटी भी जल्दी ही आएगी. You can't expect to demarcate the two. And the junk food, the hormone ridden milk that we are having, chemicals, so एक तो वो चीज है जो हमारे हाथ में है, जो हम कंट्रोल कर सकते हैं कि let's have as natural food as we can, as clean, so that at least physical maturity हम normal जितना हमारे एज में मानी जाती थी उस पे आ पाए. So that is a direct link जो हमारे हाथ में है. सेकेंड चीज है जो सर्कमस्टेंशियल है, जो हमारे हाथ में उतनी नहीं है कि बच्चों के पास इंफॉर्मेशन एक्स्ट्रा है. किड्स टॉक ऑफ, लाइक अनुश्री सेड, एक्सप्लिसिट सब्जेक्ट्स वे टू अर्ली देन वी डिड. ये क्यों हो रहा है? ये बिकॉज उनके पास इंफॉर्मेशन है, हम नहीं है तो यूट्यूब है, यूट्यूब नहीं है तो हाफ इन्फॉर्म्ड फ्रेंड्स हैं, बिकॉज उस एज पे कितनी इंफॉर्मेशन होगी, यू नो. सोर्स तो उसका भी सोल्यूशन आपके हाथ में है कि you tell the kid early. जो हम अपनी I don't know how many of you had a period talk with your mom. I mean, I was blessed to have it because my friend told me कि my mom told me, so I was very offended. I was like, Mom, you also tell me what happens. अब तो I see a very positive change that all parents have a sex talk with their kid, boy or girl. तो वो थोड़ा early कर लो, वो 9 or 10 पे शुरू करो, वो भी हमारे हाथ में. That we can do so that they have a correct source of information. कि I am your verified source of information, not your 9-year-old friend, your peer. तीसरी एक चीज है जो हमारे हाथ में नहीं है, and I might sound very crude, pardon me for that. जो पुरानी मूवीज देखते थे ना मीता, जब हम बचपन में, जैसे I would say 70s और 80s, उसमें बहुत कॉमन टर्म था, बिगड़े बाप की औलाद, है ना. वो किसके लिए यूज होता था? जिस दिखाते थे जिनके पास वो महल है जिसमें 2 स्टेयर्स हैं, ऊपर जाती है, सुपर रिच पीपल, उनके बच्चे बिगड़े बाप की औलादें होती थी. एंड क्लियरली they had all the features of our kids today. They had extra pampering, extra luxury, extra everything, so they grew up to be very black and white demarcation. Now, sadly, because of the middle class having a much better buying capacity, हम सब बिगड़े बाप की औलादे ही हैं अब, because we all are I would not use a word term like rich or something to make it demarcating, but because of our buying capacity being higher, much higher, even for the middle class, so elitism ka differentiation बहुत कम हो गया है. All of us are elite now. All of us can afford flights. All of us can afford international. Most of us can afford international travel, 2-3 cars. So yeah, I would say it's the phenomena that we all are raised ma and bap. Let's not say only bap in gender neutral world, and we all are raising bigde bete and betiya. So that is one thing which I have seen. वो कभी कभी हमारे हाथ में इसलिए नहीं होता because we don't know, we are subconsciously doing it, we feel we didn't have it, so let's give our child a better life. तो मेरे को ये 3 aspects लगते हैं which I think about a lot in my life as a parent, and I also discuss it with my clients as a parenting coach.
So, absolutely, very, very valid point, Lahar. You talked about talking about periods. Okay. In our generation, there was a little shame about talking about periods. This generation, moms, that the first thing they feel about bad touch, good touch, talk about periods, talk about sex. They know that our job is mostly done. But the challenges what we had, like our generation had, since we were a step there, we had the different set of challenges. Now what answers they found from that challenge, they have figured out these are the 3 set of.
And I would say kudos to the moms of boys, that 9-year-old boys also know about periods thanks to their mothers who have been telling them, though they might not be any daughter in the family, but I would especially want to put in kudos to all the mothers of boys.
Kudos, but otherwise in system there is so much information. Schools, digital marketing, medium responsibility, government's responsibility. Every school, they are kind of taking it initiative to talk about periods, but the set of challenges are something new. What we were dealing with periods, now they're dealing with set of healthy food. Healthy food looks like a very, very tough task. You tell a mom that do anything else, but finding and creating a healthy food and developing a habit to sustain and imply that is a problem. Approachable, because information is like approachable when you are talking about ladla bigrawa bacha is not anymore the upper class. All kind of affordability is there, whether you want to own a smartphone, whether you want to have a substance, whether you want to have a watch something on your phone, everything is available at every cost. It's like the problems are coming, the solution is coming, and the bigger demon is like in the so, and we parents, I feel that we are also not leading by the example. What we are doing, we are not able to set the right example. So every answer, I know, as a parenting expert, you're saying, as a mother, I'm saying that this is the pain point of every generation is also changing in 5 years.
Yeah.
So I am giving you time to think on that, because it's a new set of problems. Let me talk.
Yes.
So I think I'd like to add something here, in fact, as to what Lahar says. It is very true that our milestones are kind of the same. They don't change. The kids are cognitively growing, behaviorally growing as per the developmental milestone. But what is happening is the ecosystems are changing. It's like what you said, Meeta ma'am. Too much accessibility to too much information. And that little nurturing mind doesn't know how to process so much content. So I agree with you that the challenges come whether you're talking to a child between the age of 8 to 10 or 18 to 20, how are we to communicate to them? So something very important, which I think Meeta ma'am you said, and even Lahar ma'am you said, communication is key and is of the essence. These children, and I work with children, I have 45 live cases today where children are communicating for themselves. They're getting the parents. They're getting the parents and saying, Mama, I need therapy, take me there. So it's not that information is coming as a harmful tool to them. It's coming, they are very well informed. It's helping them making better decisions. It's helping them, sometimes children tell me that, Auntie, it's better that I'm on a smartphone than kind of going outside and doing activities which are not good. So you do have them, they've been through a pandemic. They have been sitting at home, they're networking, they're socializing with children. This generation is a very resilient generation. Yes, there are a few children who fall prey to something which is vulnerable, in the sense too much accessibility to information, but that goes into a hindrance when they don't have a channel to communicate. So sometimes they come to us and say, what does this mean? This is when we need to encourage the questioning. So you do have children at the age of 10 saying, hey, you know what? I heard it in school. What does this mean? So even we as parents today, in fact, Harvard says that we have 20% control over our children and their upbringing. The rest is schools. And the most important is social media and peer control. So peers are very important. So if you're not telling your child what explicit content is, someone else is telling their children what it is. So whether you don't tell them or tell them, they know it all. So how do you control it? This is what I think is very important to address as we as parents. How do we decipher information for our children?
So absolutely right. Again, when we said that there is so much information and kids are not able to process, and I confess that when I am consuming information, because I am into content, I'm into marketing, I am into conversation. So when I start consuming content, or even if for this session, when I start watching or listening to podcasts or reading article, I feel I am going in different direction. Then I have to bring it back, say that, okay, this is my limiting topic. Let me not go absolutely different direction. We are adults who know what we are doing, settle well. Then also we are not able to, we have to pull ourselves back. Kids or youth or young adults, how do they process the information? I really wonder sometimes. So my question is that. Secondly, we talked about parents. I feel they feel shame in they feel shame in kind of accepting, or kind of like, okay, the child, I know the children who are happily saying that even if I don't have a major problem, I want to go to for a therapy. But if you talk to parents, it will always be a little guard. It will be always be a reluctant.
Yeah.
There is something wrong in their child. So that's what my question is. Do we tell that the children are to be nurtured, or the parents have to be nurtured? Again, back to Lahar.
I think when it comes to more millennial issues, then definitely the parents also need support, because it's a new topic for them. For example, and I'm quoting it from a line of what my clients said, that अरे मैडम ये पैसे वैसे खर्च करिए फोन के लिए बोल रही है, वो सब तो ठीक है, एज लॉन्ग एज ना उसको अपने सेम सेक्स से प्यार ना हो जाए, मतलब वो उनका इशू है ना. So ये new topics में everyone is clueless. Why we all of us are clueless, and this is where I think is the positive for the generation, that they are going to lead the world into a more diverse, inclusive, gender neutral world. And I think that's a blessing. As an Indian woman, all of us will say we grew up in a very different time, and that is one very positive thing I see. So yeah, when it comes to new topics where we might not have some reference to talk to, there definitely I think parents should accept it as something which it's like upskilling. We love to upskill, so why not upskill parenting also, right? So a little bit of upskilling is required. It strengthens your resume, not only as a corporate but also as a parent. You need to keep strengthening your resume so that your bosses like you. And by bosses I mean the tiny bosses.
No, absolutely, Lahar. We feel we are very, very sure of how we are doing our parenting. Even if we have doubts, we feel so vulnerable that we do not want to go and talk to, as if I am exposing about my balance sheet, or I'm exposing about opening my dirty laundry. Nobody wants to they feel that it's shameful. How do I talk about my children I could have an issue, or I need some advice? Nobody wants to. I don't know. Why is it so?
That's true, but however, I see that changing, and I'm sure Anushree will corroborate the fact that slowly and steadily, parents are opening up also to the idea of professional help, whether it is psychological professional help like Anushree's, or taking small little parenting courses from me for everyday life. Parents are slowly, I think, with every, like you said, every 5 years generation is changing. So I've been a parent coach for about almost 5 years now. So I see a stark difference in the acceptability of information from parents' side also.
Yeah, I agree. And in fact, I also feel that, parents are becoming aware. In fact, I see a question also. A parent has said that I keep doubting my parenting. Of course, we are going to keep doubting our parenting because we want the best for our children. It's just that, even in generation from your Gen Z to your millennial, there's a stark difference. So how do we kind of address these issues? What is the right way of addressing issues? But what we should give kudos to ourselves is like what Lahar ma'am says. Of course, we are accepting the change. That the first level of any form of transformation is acceptance. Yes, children are growing in an information generation where they've become very tech savvy. They kind of surf the net more quicker than we are. So first accept it that my child is growing up in this sort of a generation. It's not going to be like us. That is something that we need to stop doing, is comparing. Because kya ho jata hai, we always tell our children, "Par mere zamane mein maine aisa kiya, I didn't have access to smartphones." They're not going to understand you. Because today they do want smartphones, because if I don't have it, my friend has it. So, mama, my friend has an iPhone. So you have that sort of, that challenge. First of all, that set of challenge comes in where the child is going through a lot of peer pressure. Have it all. You have a cherry on top is your celebrities. You have fan following, you have celebrities coming, and, a lifestyle where the girls, not only the girls, the boys are also very conscious about how they look, how they dress. So you won't believe it, in therapy, when children come to me, the first thing is, auntie, this happened and she said this to me. Oh, auntie, do you know I got an award for professional excellence? And I'm like, couldn't you tell me that first? So she was like, oh yeah, that's okay. I mean, what's the big deal, man? So they are promoting the way they look, the way they are kind of accepted in their generation, and not intelligence. For us, it was the other way around. For us, it was grades. And we have that professional excellence, and I'm a doctor and I'm a scientist. But these kids are more aware about how they look, how they fit in, and that is what it is. So we need to accept it that the generation that we are kind of parenting is different from us. First of all, acceptance. Secondly, quality. It's not quantity. They don't understand 10 hours, 20 hours. They understand 15 minutes. Sit with me for 15 minutes. Don't ask me about school. Just ask me generally about how I am. So some of the children who come to me, their main complaint against parents is they judge us. Auntie, how do we talk to our parents? They're constantly judging us. I feel judged. They know that they are going through a challenging time, and our challenging time is very different from theirs. They undergo pressure from peers, they undergo pressure from media, they undergo pressure from academia, and then us. Whereas for us, growing up was very simple. We were doing as we were told because the parents were authoritarian.
So absolutely relevant. Lahar, can you see like how she looks like a millennial coach where that there is a, like when you were talking about it, I feel gratification accolades. You were talking about getting this award and getting this certification, Olympiads, and there are so many like kind of sorry for finding a better word. It's like performance pressure. Like they feel that they have to do something or other. Earlier, what we used to do, it's just that giving your midterm exams, giving your quarterly exams, giving your final terms exams and results, you had to just present it to your parents that, okay, I did fairly well. Now, every day there is like, again, you have to perform, you have to get results, and you're always in comparison. I don't know whether this is right or this is wrong, or are we overskilling our children? So these are my questions, bigger questions that, okay, we know parents are doing their bit, children are doing their bit, there are better lifestyle, there are a lot of exposure, there is a lot of information. But what is the right, are we, the generation is shifted, but the approach is still confused. Like we do not know.
Yeah. And I think, in fact, this works fantastically with some of my parents. We need to understand, first of all, what do we define as childhood. So for us, if our childhood means, in different cultures it's different. In Iraq, it's like 9 years old, you're a child, and then you become an adult. In Japan, it's 20. So for you, what is childhood? So I feel that, you need to have to set up different parenting techniques. So if you're parenting between the age of 8 to 10, you need to have that sort of a little bit of a structured approach where you discipline your child. So discipline takes precedence in that sort of age group. Between 10 to 13 is puberty. So they are going to have meltdowns. Here you need to approach them as not with a tantrum versus a tantrum, but tantrum versus, listen, calm down, talk to me when you are, when you feel better to talk to me. And then you have to have structure between like that 14 to 18. You need to give them structure and give them little independence. Like, let's say, night outs are becoming a huge big thing right now, and they fight for it. They want social interactions because that's becoming a very important part of growing up. And understandably, they will fight with you for deadlines. 7:30 bola tha na, मेरे को 8 बजे आना है. 8:30, 9:30. So how that is bargaining. You need to negotiate with them. And the minute they are pushing your boundaries, you need to take time out and say, listen, I don't need to make up my mind right now. Let me think over it, and then I'll get back to you. Quick gratification generation is the ones that we deal between 14 to 18. And then,
I just want to add something here because I'll forget and the context will be gone.
sure.
One of the parents, one of the parents said that I heard that my child was saying that my friend lied to their parents. The parents don't know if the child is out of the house, but the parents think that my child is sleeping in the room. That gives you a scare. She said that is scary because I rather push the limit than having my child lie to me, and I do not know if my child is in bed or my child is out somewhere. So that is like, it's a downside of pushing or putting the deadline that, so you don't know as a parent that I should say that this is your deadline or this is, how do you monitor?
So I think what is very essential is you have to make house rules for your own home. So children are very smart. They'll come and tell you, but my friend gets a deadline till 9 o'clock. But you have to be, and this has to be induced at a good age of like 10. So you have your house rules, which are permanently kind of implemented across. If you give your child that little leeway to bargain with you, they're going to catch you. But वो time ने तो आपने मेरे को 7 बजे बोला था, अभी आप 6 क्यों बोल रहे हो? If you are going to make big, huge changes in a child, just all of a sudden, they're not going to accept it. But if you explain it to them and say, the reason why I need you to come back home at 7:30 is because this is our home rule and safety comes first. Explain it to them, talk to them, and the minute you implement.
I'm again like asking a counter question on behalf of
Sure.
The child says, like, okay, 5 of my friends are going, their parents are allowing it. Why aren't you allowing? Then what do you do?
Mm-hmm. This is exactly what most of the parents are dealing with. So it's like what I said. If you have to consistently make sure the minute you are allowing a night out or you're allowing a day spend, you need to be very certain and tell your child very sternly that you can go, but I need you back by 7:30. This is it. It's a non-negotiable, because this comes to something which is very important, is the child's safety. Yes, they will argue, they will throw tantrums, but you have to stay to the ground and you have to say, this is it, or then I'm sorry, I can't let you go. So they are very smart. They're going to push their boundaries, but we have to be the smarter ones where we make sure that we maintain the boundary.
Right. So I completely agree with Anushree here, Meeta. And even when I try to explain parenting, like she said, age-wise, it has to progress. There are different. So I always say that pick one battle. Don't keep saying no, no, no. The minute you keep saying no for everything, I know studies are important, safety is important, everything is important. But at one point, have one battle that you fight for. Too much no the whole day, then kids become stubborn and they in fact start taking you less seriously. कि mama तो हर चीज पे no बोलती है, चलो झूठ बोल दो, कोई बात नहीं. तो ठीक है, when you're picking one battle, I know, suppose you picked up the battle of safety. At that point, maybe grades battle will take a back seat. Maybe grades might fall at that point, but that's okay. I feel that एक battle आप settle कर लो, days, weeks, months, year, no problem. And then move to the next one, so that your child is hearing no less often from you. and other things which can be ignored can be ignored. Like I think I've given this example on sipping thoughts, that when I was going through sleep scheduling battle when my kids were young, I had to overlook so many things that once my kids actually have gone to marriages and really big family close events in night suits, because I did not want to get into that battle कि ठीक है, how to dress, how to present yourself. I was like, ये battle में मैं नहीं घुस रही हूँ, ठीक है, मेरे बच्चे गए नाइट सूट में, everyone else judged me, but I was okay, I was fine कि ठीक है, हाँ मैं ऐसी माँ हूँ जो अपने बच्चों को नाइट सूट में लाती, it doesn't matter, I'm very okay with that, because right now my battle is about sleep schedule. So I'm going to overlook and other things. And the other thing which I also want to add to it, that the kind of I mean, I'm saying it in a very layman term, but the ways and the kind of punishments or the repercussions that you or the consequences, let's call it consequences, that we dole out to our kids are changing a lot, right? And we have to be very careful of the kind, and very very aware that every misdoing will have a consequence that the child needs to know. But the kind of punishments that we are giving our kids now are very different, and they should be. And that's also a change I ask a lot of my parents to make, that teaching them the consequences of their behavior is very important. However, how do you teach them is also very important. What do you do? What is the judgment that you mete out to them? That is also millennial. Of course, corporal or hitting is obviously 99% of the parents know that that's out of bounds now, which was very common for most of us. So I mean, our usual conversation will be like, तेरी मम्मी मारती नहीं, मेरी मम्मी तो नहीं मारती, मेरी मम्मी बड़ी cool है. वो बड़ा रेयर होता था, अरे वाह इसकी मम्मी बड़ी कूल है, मारती नहीं है. So वो अब तो बहुत चेंज हो रहा है. So not only the rewards that you dole out, the punishments also that we are doling out as parents. I'm saying punishments, though it's not a term I love very much. That also has to change, but that does not mean they're devoid of any consequences or punishments. They need to know that there are consequences. But yeah, the way you meet
Lahar, the kids are so sensitive. Like the fear of depression, anxiety, and taking drastic steps is so much now in the new parents. Because you see those cases around, that this moment you think that your kid is fine, and then the next moment the kid has done something drastic. I feel all the parents are fearful. Punishment is a very, very scary word right now, because the other day only I was watching I was listening to a podcast, and it was the coach said that the child also, most of the study cases, the kid also doesn't know that my next step, like it was one of the survivor. He said that I didn't know in that moment what went wrong, and it was beyond my control, and I jumped from the 9th floor.
Mhm.
So as parents are very, very, very scared. So maybe they give in a lot of, they say yes to a lot, because you don't know. It's not a rule book that, okay, you're watching a kid for a long time, you see the pattern, you know something will happen. You know that one fine day, something can go wrong with my child.
Yeah.
So that's a downside of digital media also, because a lot of information is coming like that. They will not talk about 99 positive cases. They will talk about one case which has gone.
Yeah.
right. And also, I feel that that's like we're talking of timelines going ahead, shifting, early. I think another timeline that has to shift early, and which that's why when you say new parent, I would in my mind assume new parent being someone who's just got a baby from the hospital home. That's where active parenting has to start earlier. हमारे टाइम में था कि ठीक है अब 10-12 साल के बच्चे हो गए, now let's get involved and do some active parenting. No, now active parenting has to start before
At
2
an
years.
earlier age.
Before 2 years of age,
I agree.
parenting starts, then you avoid a lot of issues later on. So that's why I say that forget grades, but you have to be an active, involved parent, setting boundaries, like Anushree said, setting those boundaries. Imagine it's like a playground. पहले playground, आप playground open नहीं छोड़ो, leave a lot of space to play. It's a playground with fencing. So in the playground, you have a lot of place to experiment, play, but your fencing has to be very solid that these are my borders. And this will only happen if you actively start parenting, thinking at least, having a thought out parenting. हमारे time में parenting was very, कोई सोचता नहीं था कि मैं parenting कैसे करूँ, and for reason because
Correct.
तब शायद इतनी need भी नहीं थी. But now at least give your parenting priorities, style, skills a thought as
Absolutely.
early as 2 years of age. When your child is 2, give it a conscious, make a conscious parenting plan that this is what we stand for as a family. These are our rules. Like Anushree said, every family, it will be unique, but that has to happen very, very early. So then these later on, these issues become less, if not, I won't say ever, they never go, but yeah, then you can avoid these issues later on. So I would suggest pulling up the timeline of thought out parenting much earlier.
But Lahar, again, I will come to this question of Sonal. This is a pertinent question because parents raising, like I have 2 kids. One is 26, one is 18. I know that I needed a different set of skill and complete change
Yes.
mind to raise both of them. So, this was a topic that kind of one of the discussion point that we needed to address, and this is Sonal asked. But we know that this is how do you call it? This is the devil in the room. This is the
Yep, it's an ongoing issue and it's never going to stop. Parenting doesn't stop at any age. But I want to come back to, I can see so many parents saying that after a certain age, even we have no control over what children are doing. In fact, someone even wrote about addictions. Why are children catering towards addictions? What is going on with addictions? So I first wanted to make sure that we all understand what are we dealing against. We are dealing against a teen mind, a child mind. A child mind is not evolved until the age of 25. So when we are talking about emotional regulation, we're talking about why does a child not know what is right and wrong for them? They do not have that neural function. So they don't know when to stop. They're making irrational decisions. They're having tantrums. They're having meltdown. The reason why is because that most important part of the brain, which is called the prefrontal cortex, that lobe is not evolved in a child. So if you are expecting a child to follow a line and I think someone said, why don't we say the word discipline? They don't understand this language. But of course, if you talk to them, you make them understand, you negotiate with them, is like what you said, Meeta ma'am, you have to change your parenting skill. What was valid at the age of 10 is irrelevant and is redundant at the age of 18 because generation gaps are even coming in between generations. So what do? We first accept it. You need to give them that sort of a benefit where you're talking to an adult because this generation is maturing very quickly. So if you are going to put them down, if you're going to talk to them like they are children, they're not going to talk to you back. They will go to media, they will go to their friends and they will ask information. You rather be a friend to your child and they come and talk to you and ask you. They don't need to go to the internet if you are going to be aware and you are going to be open to talking to them. See, we all are moms here and we all are working. We're working crazy hours. But to give them that 10 minutes and talk to them and ask them, they have questions. They have questions about addictions also because children are reading about it. There are schools who are confiscating things which are coming into school. Talk to them. The most important thing is how do you communicate to the child where you don't put that child down, where you're not judging the child and you're accepting the child for the questions that they're asking you. So, of course, we censor certain, I can't tell my 10-year-old to what I'm telling my 18-year-old. Use your discretion to give how much information. Have parental controls on your internet. Meeta ma'am, I cannot stress enough as to how important parental controls are on the internet. Screensavers. You have an app which shuts the computer, which shuts the internet in 40 minutes, in 50 minutes. It gives you a flag that's saying that the child is accessing information which is explicit. Please, I request all parents have content-driven censors, parental controls on all the internet because they're not going to share their passwords with you. But at least we know what are they accessing. And a very important topic that we said is about, becoming very sensitive towards stress and anxiety and using self-harm. This is something that I'm seeing a lot and prevalent in all generations. It's very easy to pick up things and, start hurting yourself because they don't know how to regulate emotion. They feel hurting themselves is the easiest option. So I do request all parents to see the red alerts in children's behaviors and start addressing it.
So Anushree, me, you, Lahar, we all are coming back to early parenting, which is like kind of pre-16. Now, that part we assume that we have done. The bigger problem comes, we kind of talo it like acha theek hai bachcha hai aise kar raha hai. So self-esteem is a big problem. The moment you like I read a lot before doing this session. They say that the study says the child seeks parents' approval the most. The moment, like we have 15 minutes window, 10 minutes window, we are doing multitasking, watching TV, looking at our phone, or talking to our staff, or attending to something else, and we talk to our children, and we say, we just start sharing the list of things. Okay, you are not eating healthy. That's why you are weak. Why did you go to the party for so long? And the child is just listening that my parents are not happy with me. They are not approving who I am. I am not a good person. So this is again a very, very common, which nobody thinks that we are doing this to our child. For it's a normal communication. Okay, you are unwell or you're weak, so eat well. They hear we are not good enough. We are not good enough. So that is one thing that is again something to be addressed. That how do we be mindful about it? Second question I want to really address is about the addiction, which Sonal has raised. I will call Sonal only to ask about it. But let's finish this topic and then we will invite whosoever wants to talk about it. That approval of parents and one unconsciously, subconsciously making a statement which kind of doesn't go well with them. Their self-confidence goes down. They feel self-worth goes like for a toss. So what exactly should we do?
So I think one thing because my expertise lies in early parenting, what I said that saying no less, and even if you're not saying yes, I'm not saying say yes to everything, but if the child hears no less from you, like a negative feedback, less from you, that really helps. So pick your battles, try to give less and less of no to your child. That point I've already said. Second is I feel that you can outsource a lot of feedback, not to your child. You can outsource it, for example, for grades. Talk to the teachers, talk to the school. That what is first, talk to them rather than attacking the child. Why is your grade going down, this and that. For other things, for example, for say health or something, you can put them in some sort of, make sure they have physical activity. So I'm saying the feedback given to the child directly can be first vetted from an outsourceable source, and then you come with information that I've been speaking to your friends, I spoke to your teacher, your friends, and they were giving me this feedback that maybe you're not comfortable or something is bothering you. Do you want to speak about it? Instead of giving it as a judgment, always I think open-ended questions are better. Okay, are you feeling this? Are you feeling down? That's always a better conversation starter with anybody. So I think lesser negative feedback and more open-ended questions.
Like I remembered one example of my early childhood. I used to have a lot of stomach ache, or I was a very weak child health-wise. So whenever I used to go to my mom, obviously there was she would say, should I give you a painkiller? Baralgan used to be a medicine that time. Used to say that, should I give you this? All I remember till few years back that mummy, आपको तो कोई फायदा नहीं है. Whenever I go to you, I used to go to you. आप हमेशा बोलती थी painkiller दे दो. आपने कभी और तो कुछ पूछा नहीं. Now I realize that I look at 20 other things which my mom used to do, and asking for take this medicine was just one part. Like how the child looks at the only thing, like my mom, I feel that I can't love her. My mom is the best. She has done a lot. But still I remember that मैं बीमार पड़ती थी तो आप मुझे बरालगन like you only used to offer medication. You were not taking care that why am I not well. So child's mind, it's so like a soft ground which takes what it wants to take. Parents are not aware that my child is thinking like that. कि आप तो सिर्फ प्रॉब्लम एड्रेस रहती हो, यू आर नॉट गिविंग मी लव, pity and care.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is what they need. They need acceptance and they need love. We've skipped out a very important part in this discussion is relationships. Kids are getting into relationships very quickly. And in fact, I have 45 live cases today of children who are battling relationships, whether it's with a peer, whether it is a different form of a relationship, they are not ready. And most of the age is between 18 to 24, where they're kind of, developing, romantic feelings, and they are not ready and they don't get it and they are indulging in it. So it is a very funny, statement that you said. I asked all of these girls, I was like, define love for me. Nobody knew what love means in this. It's such an easy, it's like Meeta ma'am, what you said, it's unconditional. We expect that sort of unconditional love from our parents. They don't know what love means. For them, love is, if he says this, then it's a condition. If he accepts me for who I am, it's all conditioned. So they don't understand what love is. So how do you receive love when your definition of love is completely different?
Absolutely. So let me invite now Sonal. She has a question.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for this wonderful session. And I'm happy to see the panel, one side parenting coach, one side adolescent and child, and we the parents on the other side. So it's a lovely triangle, just like a school trilogy. So, Anushree ma'am, my question first to you goes to you. You said that we should put parental controls and we should see all the flags and everything. Why not to empower and trust our kids? One side, we are trying to kind of give them proper life lesson and skills. So why not to give this empowerment for internet also from very young age?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
And
should I
second
answer
question? Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay, so what I feel is absolutely correct. Trust is so important and they thrive on trust. But it's like what I said, the problem is the mind of a child is not developed. So they don't know when to stop. So what happens is that curiosity that they have because someone said this and they wanted to research a word is not there in a child. So I'm saying give them independence, but you give a structure so that they are not kind of, carried into or kind of, enticed into looking at content which is not good for them. Because it's like what we said before. हमारे जो milestones हैं, जो biological, physiological, psychological milestones है, वो बदल नहीं कर रही है. What is changing around us is our ecosystem. So if you're saying that the content for a 10-year-old is explicit, it is explicit. That child cannot process explicit content. So this is the reason why have more regulations between the age of 10 to 12. And then of course, between the age of 12 to 16, you can trust them. You can give them that sort of leeway, but make sure you know what your child is watching. Even if it means like a sporadic check, you're just quickly kind of checking on their screen, kya dekh rahe hain bacche? Or sometimes unke behavior mein dikhai deta hai. All of a sudden, this Japanese anime has become a fad. Everyone is watching it. But what is coming with it is aggression. बच्चों में aggression बढ़ रहा है. So things like that is very important. As we as parents, we need to know what our children are watching.
Yes, now the ghosts, Sonal, you have any question?
I think she has one more question.
Yes, adding to this suggestion only, so you suggested for structural limitation and everything. Should we share the structural limitation with the kids? Like if you go ahead with this explicit content or anything, then the mail will come to me. Should we do that or should we not? And so I'm talking all about this because you're giving a lot of example regarding Japan. I stay here. And,
you do.
So I am connected with a lot of kids who are coming with a lot of different issues.
Mm-hmm.
So this specific question is regarding my own upbringing, which I have been seeing in my 12-year daughter and my 8-year son. So regarding this internet, if parenting, I trust, and it has till now is very successful because she has been exposed to pornography also, which she shared that this link has come. And this is very common in outside world, I would say out of India, because India it is blocked, but outside India, everywhere it's very easy to achieve. So this is the very big thing which we need to address regarding pornography, because which we had been discussing in this whole session, is a lot of other addiction, but internet addiction is very different. Porn addiction is very different.
Agreed.
Gaming addiction is very different, and they both are
Agreed.
included in the addiction DSM.
Mhm.
So
So,
how to
Sonal
address
ma'am,
these things?
I'm going to reply. I'm going to ask you the question back. How did you get your children to come and tell you that I'm getting something explicit? So there has to be
Okay.
something which is successful in your parenting.
Yes, yes. So my husband is from IT and I have a psychology background. So
There you
both
go.
of us tried to do a very kind of structured parenting when we conceived our first child only. So it was
Mhm.
like we will give all the independence, but we will give that trust also to our child as she grows. So from age of 7, I believe 6 or 7, we
Mhm.
started talking to her about back touch and everything, which was her
Mhm.
kindergarten and everything, earliest stage, first grade. And when we came to Japan, she was in second grade. Then
Mhm.
from that time, we know the internet and everything will be exposed because the school, international schools have all those facilities.
They
Then
do.
we started teaching all about the internet safety measures and everything. Till now, she is in seventh grade. She still shares what is coming and what's not coming. She doesn't share all the chats, everything, but we trust.
Mm. Yeah.
And openly she shares. And she talks to her friends also. Sometimes she is kind of cut off because of this to her peer
Mm.
group. So sometimes peer pressure comes. She talks about that also. So yeah,
Wonderful.
definitely in our parenting, this has come. And now she is teaching the same to her younger brother. So
So
this is
there you
how
go.
it
I
helps.
think it corroborates with what Lahar and I said. It's basically start early. Start talking to them, start early, and you will need to kind of change your parenting techniques once she grows a little older too. So yes, absolutely, it comes with trust, but it has to kind of be nurtured into the child. So you're not waking up at 14 years of age and putting on a principal or a
I think Anushree got frozen. There's a
Yeah, so I think it is heartening to know that what worked for Sonal is something very practical. Like we said, just push conscious parenting as early as you can and not wait, like Anushree was saying when she got cut off, that don't wake up at 14 and decide that today I will now set all the rules. That does not happen. And again, like what Sonal was saying, what you focus on as a family. So that I always tell my parenting clients that as a family, what do you stand for? Talk about those things. As a family, do you stand for gender equality? As a family, do you stand for climate change? So ये चीजें होनी चाहिए because इससे एक और फर्क पड़ता है. You know what, Meeta, that kids, what is family and how is the brain attracted towards the concept of a family is because the brain loves to be part of a team. All of us love to be part of a team, and family is a team, right? So suppose I'll ask you a very simple question. Suppose India and Pakistan, suppose they are playing, or India or South Africa, suppose they're playing a cricket match. Whom do we support? India, because we feel part of their team. Now we might support India, but tomorrow, suppose in IPL, Mahendra Singh Dhoni is playing against Virat Kohli. They are both Indians. So again, then whom do you support? How do you pick your team? Because you may like MS Dhoni more, or you may like Virat Kohli, but we all want to be part of a team where we feel that we belong to this team. So make your family a winning team. We all want to be part of winning teams. Let me recorrect myself. We don't want to be part of teams. We want to be part of winning teams. That's how the brain is functioned, so that your survival is ensured. So make your family atmosphere something which is what a coach would do for a sport team to win. I take lot of influence. I take lot of tidbits from sports coaches, how they train their team to be a winning team. Positivity, determination, um, knowing what the kids are doing, mapping out. I mean, they make a structure of how they play, but in the field, kids are only playing. So I take a lot of influence from sport coaches, and that's why I say that the first stepping stone practically for all families should be that this is what our family stands for, that sense of pride. I belong to a family that stands for climate change. I'm not going to use plastic. That itself is so empowering for a child, that I am part of this team and we are doing things together. I think that is very, very practical also. One practical thing that we can do in today's world.
absolutely, Lair. I totally get you. My this thing, one thing of old time parenting, or however you say that I believe in, I never talked about anybody in a negative manner in front of my kids till the time I feel that they are mature enough to know the nuances of life. So I
Yeah.
want them to grow up like knowing that the family strength or friend strength or social strength is a very, very important strength. And I believe in living by example. If I am talking something unconsciously about things, I know that the child is for sure observing me and getting that thing, whether I'm picking a glass of drink, whether I am giving an excuse on the phone, or I am anything for that matter. So it's they say that you lead by example. So that is one thing I believe. It's already 4:59. Where are you, Anushree? I think there was some
I'm
network.
sorry. I don't know. I don't think the internet likes me a lot. I'm here. I'm back.
No, so
It's just the Bombay rains.
it has gone to its end. So it's just 1 minute left. Though we digressed from the topic, I wanted to talk about young adults, which is like around 18, little pre-18 and post-18, different issues. But I think parenting is something whenever we touch this point, it goes in multiple directions.
All different directions.
I hope we could address to some of the touch point to some of the talking points. But I think we will take this session to the next time because we were still in the early shaping up days of parenting. So any last bit from you, Anushree and Lahar, and then we close the session.
Sure, absolutely. So I think, as young adults, what we need to kind of understand is, knowledge is power. It's like what Spider-Man says, with great responsibilities, there are great powers. So similarly, information is something which comes with, greater responsibilities. So just, we need to make sure that the younger ones, especially the younger ones, are processing information healthy, choosing healthy coping mechanisms, and definitely it is coming as a boon as well. We have to make sure that the children do have access to information, but at the same time, let's kind of be aware as to what they're watching, what they're looking at, by communication. So it's like what one parent said, communication is the key essence. And I feel that that's what we should, as the generations are growing younger, we need to communicate to our children.
Absolutely. Wonderfully said. Thank you, Anushree. Lahar, your last bit.
I end all my parenting sessions same way. I would say that it's better to be a genuine parent than be a great parent. And what I mean here, especially relevant today, since we're talking of communication, one thing which I will want all the parents to practice from today is accepting your mistakes also. Saying that, okay, I got angry when I was not supposed to. I threw a tantrum at you when I was not supposed to. I'm sorry about that too. So when you talk of your mistakes and acknowledge it, and apologize, I think to your kids, they will be far more easier in coming and telling you about their mistakes and acknowledging where they need help.
Very, very valid point, Lahar. I feel delayed communication whenever, if you do not address with anger or with aggression or with confrontation, it sometimes later when you have that conversation, it always leads to a more result-oriented conversation. So yeah, on that note, I know I feel that I'm finishing it halfway, not even on there.
Preteen. I think preteen to adolescence needs to go on.
So next time we will come back with the same issue in a different session very soon. On that note,
Great.
thank
you so much. Thank you so much to everyone. It was wonderful being here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.